Hey, what's going on? This is your favorite host MK back with another video. So if you've been on a fat loss diet for a while now, if you've been in a calorie deficit, losing fat, making progress, then you're probably feeling fine. But at a certain point in your fat loss journey, what's gonna inevitably happen is you're going to plateau, you're gonna have some challenges, and at that point you're probably going to feel a bit overwhelmed and you might be afraid of failing, afraid of falling off the wagon. Well, today you're in luck, because in this video I'm going to share with you 3 tips that are going to help you prevent that from happening. And the first one is focus on the 80-20. Now, you probably know this, but the 80-20 refers to the Pareto principle, which states that basically 20% of the actions that you take lead to 80% of the results. So those are the things that you need to focus on in order to get the results that you're after. And what are those when it comes to fat loss? Those are, first off, being in a calorie deficit, meaning eating less calories than you're burning on average. So you usually want to be in a 5 to 15% calorie deficit so that you're making steady progress with your fat loss goals. Second off, you want to be eating a high protein diet, because that's going to help you stay satiated and is going to help you retain your muscle mass while losing fat. How much protein do you want to be eating? You want to be eating around 1 gram per pound of body weight per day, or that is around 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. The next thing that you want to do is eat a lot of veggies. Why? Because first off, they're very healthy, they're rich in phytochemicals, micronutrients and fiber, but second off, they're very filling, so they contain very few calories per gram compared to other foods, so they're going to help you stay satiated, and they're going to help you minimize hunger, which is going to massively help you with sticking to your fat loss diet. The next thing that you want to make sure you're doing is stay away from processed foods as much as possible. So these are your pizzas, hamburgers, the sweets and chocolate that we all know and love. But what happens when you consume those foods is they're very calorie dense, so you're increasing your calorie intake, you're making it harder to create a calorie deficit, because they're hyper palatable, meaning they're engineered to be very sweet or very salty, which makes you crave them and want to eat more of them. So as much as possible, stay away from them. Of course, having them once in a while won't ruin your fat loss efforts. And of course, a cheat meal here and there can help you retain your sanity while losing the fat, but make sure you're not going overboard with the processed junk foods. The next thing that you want to make sure you're doing is you're working out 3 to 4 times per week if you're a beginner, and that you're doing resistance training, so training with your body weight or with weights at the gym, maybe resistance bands, but some type of resistance. Why do you want to do that? That's going to help you burn more calories, but at the same time it's going to help you retain your muscle mass, meaning you're going to drop mainly fat when you're in a calorie deficit and eating enough protein, instead of also losing muscle and prolonging your fat loss phase. And finally, to make creating that calorie deficit more sustainable, you also want to be living a more physically active lifestyle. And what I suggest you start doing is having a daily walk. So in total, what you want to aim for at the beginning is maybe start with 6,000 steps per day cumulatively throughout your day if you're not very active at the moment. And if you're at 6,000, you can ramp it up to 10,000 steps and beyond per day. That's really going to help you burn more calories and create that calorie deficit without having to cut out too much calories in terms of intake. And my last and final tip on what to do on the practical side is to make sure you're getting enough sleep. Sleep is super important. If you're sleep deprived, you're more likely to binge eat, you're more likely to crave carbohydrates and calorie dense foods. So make sure that you're getting between 7 and 9 hours per night, depending on how physically active you are and how old you are, and a bunch of other factors. But in general, between 7 and 9 hours per night is going to be enough for most people in most situations. By the way, if you're enjoying this content so far, make sure to subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell for more stuff like this. Now, my second tip on how to stay consistent with your fat loss efforts and stick to them has more to do with how you think about the whole thing. In other words, it's the psychological side. And it's the following: focus on the process, not the end result. So Your end goal might be to have a flat stomach or have a six-pack or whatever, but what you need to focus on is not that. It's not the end goal, it is the process of getting there. So it's just like in business. If you have the necessary systems and processes in place, and if you're executing them and your team is executing them, then what's going to happen is, as a byproduct of those systems and processes, you're going to get the end result and your business is going to grow. So in fitness, it's the exact same thing. If you're doing the stuff that I just mentioned earlier in tip number 1, and you manage your nutrition and your workouts and your recovery correctly, then as a byproduct, you're going to get the results of having a flat stomach or six-pack abs. So really focus on your process and focus on getting the day right, getting the week right, getting the month right, getting the year right, getting the next couple of years right, and you're going to look amazing just as a byproduct of doing that. And now for my third and final tip on how to stick to your fat loss efforts, and it is make one change at a time. So don't try to do everything at once. Don't try to change your whole diet and your workout routine and your whole lifestyle and flip it 180 degrees. What you need to do is make one change at a time. So maybe focus on your diet and focus on eating enough protein and do that for a week. The next week, maybe make sure you are doing your workouts correctly, or maybe start walking 10,000 steps per day, or maybe do one of the other habits that I mentioned earlier. But the important thing is to implement them one at a time. Why? Because this way you make sure that you're not getting overwhelmed and you give yourself the room to create a sustainable habit. So once you've done something for 30 days in a row, usually what's going to happen is it's going to form neural pathways in your brain and it's going to become a pattern of existence for you. It's going to become a habit. And once you form all the habits that I discussed in the first step in this video, what's going to happen is, as I said, as a byproduct of those habits, you're going to get the physique that you want. So make one change at a time. It might seem like it's going to take more time this way, but I promise you, you're actually going to get there faster. You're going to get to your end destination faster, because all the other people who are going to make the mistake of trying to do it all at once are going to take on too much too soon, and they're going to get overwhelmed and they're sadly going to fail. That's why we have the whole issue with the New Year's resolutioners, who for the first 2 or 3 weeks of the new year are very fired up. They go to the gym, they manage their nutrition, they've flipped everything up in their lives, and as a result it's just too much too soon, and so they get overwhelmed and they give up. Don't let that be you. Instead, make one change at a time, create sustainable habits, and you're going to look amazing as a result of that. And if you'd like personalized help with that, make sure to check out the link down in the description and see how I can help you. In the meantime, what you can do is subscribe and click that notification bell in order to get all of my new videos on training, nutrition, and lifestyle. Make sure to like the video, and if you have a comment or question, make sure to leave it down in the comment box below, as I get back to every single comment. And now what you can do is check out these videos next to learn more about proper training, nutrition, and lifestyle.